Sigmund Freud, Austrian psychiatrist, psychologist, and founder of the school of psychoanalysis, known as the first school of psychoanalysis in Vienna. Born on May 6, 1856, in a small town called Freiburg in Moravia, which is now the Czech Republic. He was born into a Jewish family, and his father was a businessman. His family later moved to Vienna, where Freud spent most of his life and career. In 1873, he entered the medical school of the University of Vienna and received his doctorate in medicine in 1881. From 1882 to 1885, he worked as a physician at the Vienna General Hospital and engaged in research on brain anatomy and pathology, then went into private practice to treat mental illness. The concept of psychoanalysis was formally proposed in 1895. The publication of The Interpretation of Dreams in 1899 is considered to be the formal formation of psychoanalytic psychology. The establishment of the International Psychoanalytic Society in 1919 marked the final formation of the psychoanalytic school. In 1930, he was awarded the Goethe Prize, became a member of the Royal Society in 1936. In 1938, Austria was invaded by Germany and took refuge in the United Kingdom. Freud died in London on September 23, 1939. He proposed concepts such as subconscious, ego, ID, superego, Oedipus complex, libido, and psychological defense mechanism. The proposed psychoanalysis was later considered not to be an effective clinical treatment method, but it inspired later generations to propose various psychopathological theories. It has important significance in the history of the development of clinical psychology. He has written The Interpretation of Dreams, Introduction to Psychoanalysis, Totem and Taboo, etc. Known as the father of psychoanalysis by the world, he is one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century. The basic principle he believed in was spiritual determinism, which means that everything that happens in nature and society must have its causes, and all human behaviors are determined by spiritual factors such as desires, motivations, and intentions. Freud's theory of personality structure refers to the fact that in Freud's theory, personality is regarded as a psychological mechanism that controls behavior from within. This internal psychological mechanism determines a person's behavioral characteristics or behavior patterns in any given situation. Freud believed that the complete personality structure consists of three parts, namely the ID, the ego, and the superego. Freud left us many Taoists, from soul to psychology, from sexual impulse to character shaping. Today we go together to understand the Tao left to us by this sage. Life is like playing chess. If you make one mistake, you will lose the whole game. This is a sad thing. Moreover, life is not as good as playing chess. You cannot play another game or regret it. A strong belief in success often leads to real success. The real hidden disease is smallness. The great hidden disease is hypocrisy. For a boy, there is an exclusive possessive desire for his mother in his subconscious. Once anyone, including his father, poses a threat to him, he will feel hatred and even want to kill them. Any religion, even one that claims to be philanthropic, must be ruthless towards those who do not belong to it. Human beings are born with a patricide complex. From birth, he is destined to fight with his father. In order to get rid of the position of being dominated, fight for the right to independence and freedom, and then take control of the family and the initiative of society. There is no such thing as a joke. All jokes have an element of seriousness. Our whole mental activity seems to be determined to seek pleasure and avoid pain, and is automatically regulated by the pleasure principle. Any man with sound senses must know that he cannot keep a secret. If his lips are sealed, his fingertips speak. Even every pore of his body betrays him. Mentally healthy people always work hard and love others. As long as they can do these two things, there will be no difficulty in other things. I firmly believe that human civilization was created at the expense of primitive instincts. Emotional impulses are closer to desire impulses based on sexual instinct. Where the ego was in the past, the ego should be. Don't try to understand women, because women are crazy. Women are insufferable, a source of perpetual trouble, and yet they are the best thing of their kind that we have. Without them, things would be much worse. There are two tragedies in life. One is not getting what you love, and the other is getting what you love. There are two joys in life. One is not getting what you love, so you can seek and create. The other is getting what you love, so you can taste and experience it. Man is an imbecile creature dominated by instinctive desires. In people's subconscious, people's sexual desire has always been in a state of repression. Civilized rules such as social morals and laws keep people's instinctive desires under rational control at all times. Abstinence is harmful to the body. In severe cases, both men and women may develop neurotic symptoms, such as insomnia, loss of appetite, with thorn personality, and prone to unnamed fire. This is a manifestation of sexual depression. Jokes give us pleasure by transforming a conscious process full of energy and tension into a relaxed unconscious process. Conscience is an inner feeling, a resistance to some abnormal desire that agitates within us. The human world is a tragedy. People either do not believe in their own death at all, or they are unconsciously convinced that they will not die. Ignorance is ignorance, and no one has the right to believe that anything can be derived from it. No one without reason can accept reason. The human heart desires both life and death. We chase light as well as darkness. We long for love, but sometimes we waste the love we have in an almost self-destructive manner. It seems that there is always a deserted nightland in people's hearts, leaving the dark and lonely self. Night dreams are the fulfillment of wishes. Daydreams are fantasies and the fulfillment of wishes. The scope of the jokes knows no bounds. The only important things in life are love and work. Being radically honest with yourself is a good practice. The unconscious is the true spiritual substance. If we can transform hysterical pain into ordinary unhappiness, the rewards can be considerable. There is no such thing as a slip of the tongue. All slips of the tongue are the manifestation of subconscious truth. When you look down on someone, this contempt must be felt, and he or she will do something to defend himself or herself. Every dream originates from the first force, desire, but is defended and resisted by the second force, consciousness. A woman should make a man gentle but not weak. Impulses from childhood still exist in our dreams. It can even be said that the desires and desire satisfaction expressed in our dreams come from childhood. What people do is either to pursue happiness or to avoid pleasure. Unexpressed emotions never die. They are just buried alive to one day erupt in uglier ways. Most people don't really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility. And most people are afraid of responsibility. When we love, we are most defenseless against pain. Everyone has some privacy that they are unwilling to tell others, or even admit to themselves. People who really look down on you will not criticize you. They will only see you going further and further down the wrong road. The more perfect a person looks on the outside, the more devils they may have inside. Depression is a frozen fear. When a person cannot get what he wants, he must cherish what he has. People can defend themselves against other people's attacks, but they cannot do anything about other people's praise. When a person has little money, he is sometimes more generous than when he has a lot of money, perhaps to prevent others from thinking that he has nothing. Don't think that familiar people will be kind to you. Sometimes they are scarier than strangers. Maturity is the ability to delay gratification. It is human nature to pursue happiness, and experiencing suffering is inevitable in life. The conflicts deep within the human psyche can never be fully resolved, only temporarily mitigated. Instead of looking outside for strength and confidence, you should look within yourself, where they are always there. People's actions are not made without reason. Young intellectuals often focus on their work due to abstinence, while artists need the strong stimulation and excitement of sexual experience to create something. My overall impression is that abstinence cannot create strong, conceited, and courageous people, let alone talented thinkers and fearless pioneers and reformers. The days of youth are still long, but today you have nothing to do. Suddenly one day you find that 10 years have passed, and no one told you when to start. Oh, you missed the starting gun. Plans always end up being zero, or a hastily written half a page. Living in quiet despair is the British way. Time has passed, the song has ended, but I always feel that I still have something to say. The nobler the person's conscious level, the more sinful the subconscious level. I would rather allow myself to be disappointed than have undue hopes. Men think with their lower bodies. Love is overvalued. We find that life is actually very difficult because it brings us too much pain, disappointment, and frustration. But we can't just rely on palliative care to endure the helplessness of life. So, we have the following 3 ways to deal with life. The first is to completely deceive yourself, that is, not to take the pain seriously. The second is to find some alternative satisfaction that can alleviate the pain. The third is to use anesthetics, to make yourself insensitive to the pain. It is not difficult to find that many people who are healthy and normal in all aspects have pathological sex lives because sexual instinct is the least restrained of all instincts. Great discoverers are not necessarily great men who changed the world more than Columbus. Who is he? An adventurer. He has character, it is true, but he is not a great man. Dreams are a kind of fulfillment of unfinished wishes of human beings. Psychoanalysis has 3 pillars, namely the psychological mechanisms of the unconscious, the role of resistance and repression, and the importance of sexuality. Everyone has the desire to suck. Everything you and I do originates from 2 motivations: sexual urges and the desire to be great. Unexpressed emotions never go away. They are simply buried alive and will one day erupt in even uglier ways. The content of the dream is due to the formation of wishes, and its purpose is to satisfy the wishes. One day, when you look back on the past, you will feel that those years of struggle were the essence of your life. All psychological activities are caused by subconscious impulses or society's suppression of this subconscious mind. The main driving force for growth comes from separation from parents. Those who violate taboos will themselves become taboos. All evil in the human mind is contained as a tendency in the subconscious mind. Evil in this world exists not only inside people, but also outside people. Psychoanalysis cures patients' misfortunes by simply introducing them into the general misfortunes of life. The death of a person always leaves the living with some sense of guilt. The essence of transference is the re-experience of certain attachment emotions that were repressed in childhood. A madman is a dreamer while awake, and a delusion is a dream while the senses are awake. Wherever there are taboos, there must be hidden desires. Love is disorienting and suffocating. A child who is pampered in his mother's arms will maintain a sense of conquest throughout his life, and that kind of successful self-confidence often brings real success. There is no chance in this world, only necessity, and the same is true in dreams. When you make small decisions, you should rely on your brain. List the pros and cons. Analyze and make the right decision. When you make big decisions, such as finding a life partner or finding your ideal, you should rely on your subconscious mind, because such an important decision must be based on the greatest needs of your heart. Civilization means repression. We need to obey and satisfy our instincts, and there is a conflict between the two. Everything we do is motivated by two things: the desire for sex and the desire for success. The goal of all life is death. The essence of repression is a rejection mechanism, a function of rejecting something from consciousness. The more frivolous and dissolute a woman is, the more she drives men crazy in love. Falling in love with such a woman often makes them intoxicated and unable to extricate themselves. But once they fall in love, they are required to be loyal to them. Denial is the correction that occurs after a certain expectation is frustrated. Every denial is an admission. It is human nature to pursue happiness, and experiencing suffering is inevitable in life. Some painful things will be automatically suppressed and forgotten if people don't want to think about them anymore. If one cannot kiss, smoking becomes indispensable. The root of human suffering lies in the incompatibility between subjective desires and objective reality. Children's keen awareness often tells the truth. The weakness of my argument does not prove the strength of your argument. Everyone is a slave to emotions. Trauma is latent in the human body like a disease. A person's personality is a combination of his innate nature and his acquired cultural environment, interpersonal relationships, etc. The things we dream about are things we don't have and can't lose. One of the hardest things in the world is to face yourself. Not everyone is creatively gifted, but everyone is capable of loving someone in their own unique way. Be honest with yourself and stick to it even if others laugh at you. The goal of life is not to pursue happiness, but to realize the dreams in your heart